You were never created to live a life of weakness. You weren't placed on this earth to simply exist, to blend into the background, or to surrender to fear, failure, or fatigue. No, you were called for something higher. There's a power meant to dwell within you. A power not of this world, not born of your strength or status, but of a greater source. That power doesn't come from titles, talents, or trophies. It comes from surrender. Yes, surrender. True power is found when you let go of your grip on control. When you stop striving in your own might and begin to walk in alignment with a purpose greater than your own comfort or ambition. The most powerful people are not those who shout the loudest or boast the biggest. They are the ones who know where their strength truly lies. They've emptied themselves so that something greater can fill them. That's the paradox. The more you give up, the more you gain. The more you humble yourself, the more you rise. And what is that power? It's the fire that burns in the heart of the one who stands alone, but is never alone. It's the courage to speak truth when silence would be safer. It's the peace to walk through storms with calmness because you know the one who controls the winds. This power is not visible to the world, but it is unstoppable. Empires fall, storms rage, voices mock, but those who walk in this power remain. Not because they are strong, but because they are held by something unshakable. You were made to walk in that power. Not as a distant idea, not as a future hope, but as a present reality. The strength you need is already promised, but you must choose it. It is released not through pride, but through obedience. Not through assertion, but through submission to the one who knows your path even before you take the first step. Do not be fooled by appearances. Power is not in what man builds, it is in what heaven breathes upon, and heaven breathes upon the humble, the faithful, the willing. So rise, not with arrogance, but with certainty. You were not made to be average. You were not made to bow to fear. The secret of the powerful is not that they have less struggle, but that they have a source of strength the world cannot explain. The paradox of power, letting go to rise in a world that praises domination, control, and the pursuit of status. The idea that surrender could be the key to real power seems counterintuitive, almost foolish. Yet some of the most transformative lives, the most enduring legacies, and the most deeply rooted strength come not from those who clench their fists tightly, but from those who learn to open their hands and let go. You see, we are taught from an early age that success means being in charge of our future, of our outcomes, of our image. We are conditioned to hustle, push, strategize, and control everything we can. But what happens when life doesn't go according to plan? What happens when the things we try to hold together begin to fall apart? In those moments, we realize that control is an illusion, and that illusion becomes a trap. But here's the truth. The greatest breakthroughs, the deepest peace, and the highest power come when we release our need to manage every detail and instead trust a wisdom and strength greater than our own. Surrender isn't giving up, it's giving over. It's saying, I may not understand, but I trust there is purpose in the process. It's yielding to a divine design that sees further than we ever could. Think of the seed. It doesn't grow by clinging to the surface. It has to be buried, hidden, broken. And only then does it sprout into something alive and strong. In the same way, when we surrender, when we stop resisting the refining seasons, stop trying to manipulate outcomes, and instead choose to trust, we open the door to power that's not limited by our own capacity. That kind of power can't be bought or faked. It doesn't come from titles or appearances. It flows from deep within, from a soul that's been humbled, purified, and made strong through surrender. It shows up in resilience that won't break under pressure. It reveals itself in peace that makes no logical sense. It fuels courage that rises when everything around says to retreat. And here's the paradox. When we stop needing to control everything, we actually become stronger. We become more centered, more focused, more impactful. Because we're no longer driven by fear of losing control. We're empowered by the confidence that we were never meant to carry it all in the first place. So don't fear surrender. It's not weakness, it's the beginning of power. The kind of power that doesn't just survive storms, but stands firm through them. The kind of power that doesn't just change situations, but transforms hearts. When you stop fighting to prove yourself and start walking in trust, you'll find a power that doesn't come from you, but works through you. And that's the secret of the truly powerful. They've learned to let go so that something greater can take over. Align for impact. The strength of knowing why. There is a unique power that comes from knowing not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it. But why you're doing it. Strength doesn't come from sheer energy or passion alone. It comes from direction, and direction comes from alignment. Alignment with a higher purpose is what gives ordinary people extraordinary endurance. It's what allows a person to keep going when logic says quit, to rise again when everything around them has collapsed. Because when your life is aligned with something greater than yourself, your strength is no longer just your own. It's fueled by something eternal. So many people walk through life without clarity. They wake up, go through the motions, chase goals that don't fulfill them, and wonder why they feel exhausted and empty. It's not because they aren't capable. It's because they're not connected to a deeper calling. When you live for temporary things, status, approval, control, your strength will always fade. And when your life is tethered to something higher, you tap into a well of strength that doesn't run dry. Look at the greatest stories of endurance in history. Those who changed lives, who shaped movements, who overcame impossible odds. What did they have in common? Purpose. They weren't the strongest, the richest, or the most talented, but they were aligned. They had a mission that wasn't about self-preservation, but about serving a cause greater than themselves. That clarity of purpose gave them a power that no setback could destroy. You too were created for a purpose that is greater than just existing. You weren't born to merely survive. You were born to bring light, to speak life, to change atmospheres. But you'll never walk fully in that strength until you align your life with the purpose that was written for you. That alignment begins when you ask not just, what do I want to achieve? But why am I here? What was I made to do? How can my life serve a bigger story? When you walk in alignment, you start making decisions differently. You don't waste time on distractions. You stop comparing yourself to others because your assignment is unique. You gain clarity, and with clarity comes confidence. You're no longer tossed around by circumstances because your direction is anchored in something unshakable. And here's the beautiful truth. You don't have to figure it all out alone. That higher purpose is not something you have to create. It's something you discover. And once you discover it, your life takes on a whole new dimension. Your struggles become training, your setbacks become setups, and your efforts gain supernatural strength. So if you feel weary, check your alignment. If you feel lost, go back to the why. Because when your heart is aligned with heaven's plan, your life becomes a vessel for power beyond your own. That's where true strength is found. Not in the size of your platform, but in the depth of your purpose. And once you align with that purpose, there's no limit to what you can endure, overcome, and achieve. The quiet power within. Strength that doesn't shout in a world obsessed with noise. Where the loudest voice often seems the most powerful, it's easy to think that influence means volume, charisma, and spectacle. But real power doesn't always arrive with fanfare. It often walks in quietly, acts without needing attention, and changes lives in ways that aren't always seen. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who say the least. They are not driven by applause, but by conviction. They don't perform, they persist. It's a myth that power needs to be flashy. Social media has taught us that influence comes from followers, likes, and viral moments. But behind the scenes of real transformation are those who lead from the shadows, who speak with wisdom instead of shouting for attention, and who carry a depth the world can't easily measure. They are grounded, consistent, and faithful in the small things. And it's that quiet consistency that often has the loudest impact over time. Think about a tree with deep roots. You may not notice it swaying dramatically in the wind, but it withstands storms that topple the more fragile. Its strength isn't in how high it reaches, but how deep it's anchored. The same is true of powerful people. They aren't moved by trends or shaken by every obstacle. They've done the internal work. They've built character in the unseen hours. Their power is not borrowed, it's built. There's a certain kind of person who doesn't need to prove anything, because their presence speaks for itself. You can feel the peace when they walk in the room. Their words may be few, but they carry weight. Why? Because they live what they believe. They've endured pain without bitterness. They've faced rejection without retaliation. They've been tested. And instead of breaking, they've become steady. And here's the truth. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to always be seen to be significant. You don't have to have a stage to be strong. Your strength can show up in how you love your family, how you show up at work, How you speak kindness when you could speak criticism. Quiet power is still power. In fact, it's often the most unshakable kind. So don't be discouraged if you're not the most outspoken. Don't think that your steady obedience doesn't matter. It matters more than you know. The world doesn't just need more noise. It needs more depth, more integrity, more people whose roots go deep. Because when storms come, and it won't be the loudest that stand firm. It will be the ones who were rooted all along, and you, yes, you, can be one of them. Don't underestimate your quiet strength. It's not just enough. It's power. Refined in the fire, the power that pressure unlocks. We all long for ease, for smooth paths, open doors, and days that unfold without resistance. But if you walk through life long enough, you know this truth. Your greatest growth doesn't come from the easy places. Your power isn't discovered when everything is working in your favor. It's revealed when everything seems to be working against you. True strength is forged in fire, not in comfort, not in applause, not in perfection, but in pressure, in challenge, and in trials that seem designed to break you. You may feel like the fire you're in is unfair, that the pain you're facing shouldn't be part of your story, that the delay, the betrayal, the loss, it's all too much. But what if it's not just happening to you? What if it's happening for you? What if the very fire you're walking through is the furnace that is refining the gold inside you? Gold isn't valuable because it's shiny. It's valuable because it's pure. And purity requires heat. When gold is placed into a furnace, the impurities rise to the surface. The same happens with us. In the fire, things that we didn't know were in us start to rise up. Doubt, fear, pride, insecurity. But if we stay in the process, something powerful happens. Those things begin to fall away. And what remains is the strongest, most authentic version of who we were always meant to be. So many people run from the fire. They fight the discomfort, numb the pain, or try to shortcut the process. But when you rush through what was meant to refine you, you rob yourself of the strength that was meant to produce. Some of the strongest people you will ever meet didn't get that way by accident. They went through something. They endured dark night, seasons of uncertainty, moments of crushing pressure. And instead of giving up, they allowed the fire to work in them, not just around them. There's a version of you that you haven't even met yet. A stronger, wiser, bolder version. But that version is on the other side of endurance. And to get there, you have to stay in the fire long enough for it to do its work. The fire may not feel good, but it's working for your good. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to develop you. You may be in a season right now that feels like more than you can handle. But don't curse the fire. Don't retreat from it. Stand in it with faith. Because the fire is not your enemy. It's your proving ground. It's the space where the shallow gets burned away and the strong is brought forth. And when you come out of it, and you'll walk with a strength that can't be shaken, a confidence that isn't surface level, a power that doesn't just look good, but is good because it's been tested, refined, and made real in the fire. Purpose over ego. The heart of lasting power. We live in a world where power is often mistaken for dominance, status, or recognition. It's tempting to believe that being powerful means being in charge, being followed, or being admired. But that kind of power is fragile. It's built on appearances and applause. And when the spotlight fades, so does the sense of identity. True power, however, is not about ego. It's not about puffing up your image or feeding your pride. It's about aligning with something greater than yourself. It's about purpose. When you operate from ego, your decisions revolve around me. What do I get? How do I look? What's in it for me? But when you live from purpose, your focus shifts. It becomes about iwi. It becomes about how your life impacts others, how your gifts serve the world, and how your choices align with something meaningful and eternal. That's where real power lives. Not in trying to be impressive, but in striving to be impactful. Ego wants control. Purpose offers surrender. Ego says, oh, look at me. Purpose says, oh, let me help you. Ego is a fragile foundation. It crumbles under pressure. But purpose is unshakable. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, setbacks don't stop you. Delays don't define you. Criticism doesn't crush you. Because you're not just chasing success, you're fulfilling a mission. There's a story being written through your life. And the most powerful chapters won't be the ones where you were praised, but the ones where you showed up with courage when no one was watching. The times when you chose humility over being right. When you stayed true to your values even when it cost you something. That's the kind of strength the world doesn't always celebrate, but it's the kind that lasts. You weren't created to just build a platform. You were made to build people. You weren't designed just to chase goals. You were designed to live out purpose. Every talent, every opportunity, every relationship is part of something bigger than your image. It's about your impact. And here's the beautiful thing. When you align with purpose, your power becomes magnetic. You don't have to force influence because people are drawn to authenticity. You don't have to manipulate doors open because purpose paves the way. You don't need to boast about what you've done. Your fruit will speak for itself. So today, take a look at your life. Ask yourself, is this about purpose or ego? Be willing to let go of what just looks powerful so you can live what truly is powerful. Because the world doesn't need more performers. It needs more people who are walking in their purpose, quietly, boldly, faithfully. When you choose purpose over ego, you choose a path that doesn't just change your life. It changes the lives around you. That is true power. That is legacy. The invisible source. Strength beyond the surface. Real power doesn't always come wrapped in boldness, noise, or show. In fact, the most powerful forces in life often move quietly beneath the surface. Gravity holds the world together, yet we never see it. The roots of a mighty tree provide stability, but they grow underground. The same is true for you. The power that will sustain your life doesn't come from what's visible. It flows from what's unseen. We've been taught to chase the visible, the titles, the trophies, the social media followers, the platform. We're conditioned to believe that if people can't see it, doesn't count. But the truth is, the visible is temporary. The unseen is eternal. Your integrity, your character, your quiet persistence. These may never make headlines, but they carry a weight far greater than applause. That quiet discipline you practice each morning when no one's watching, that's power. The faith you hold on to in the middle of a storm, that's power. The patience to wait, the strength to forgive, the courage to keep going when it would be easier to quit. None of that is flashy, but all of that is real. Power isn't always in the spotlight. Sometimes it lives in the shadows, in moments of private surrender, quiet growth, and invisible obedience. The world may never fully understand the cost of your journey. They might see the success, but not the sacrifice. They'll admire the results, but never know the roots. And that's okay, because your power was never about proving something to them. It was about staying true to something in you. If you focus only on the visible, you'll become discouraged. Because growth doesn't always show up right away. Progress is rarely instant. You can sow for years before you see the harvest. But don't mistake silence for absence. Don't confuse the unseen with the unimportant. Some of the most transformative work is happening inside you, where no eye can see, but every future moment will feel. This is why it matters what you feed your inner world. If you want strength, speak life over yourself. If you want vision, guard what enters your mind. If you want endurance, plant yourself in truth, not trends. What's hidden inside of you determines what will be revealed through you. So today, choose to live from the unseen place. Choose to build your life on principles that don't require praise. Let your roots grow deep, even if it takes time for the fruit to show. Trust that the power within you, though invisible now, will make itself known in due time. Because real power doesn't scream, it sustains. It doesn't parade, it perseveres. And when the storms of life come, it's not the tallest or loudest that survive. It's the ones with deep roots, unshaken, unseen, but unstoppable.